Good day, YouTube friends. I hope you've had a great day. I hope you're having a good day. We're here in North Carolina. It's raining outside, or has been raining. We had some thunderstorms that are just south of us. So we've got our peas picked, our field peas, and so we thought it'd be a good day to work inside, and we're going to try to can up some purple hull peas and Texas big boy peas. So hope you stay along with us and watch it. And I'm going to talk a little bit about just canning in general today, some things that you can do. I know a lot of people, I see them comment on videos. I've even had some on my videos. They're intimidated by canning, and it is really simple, and it's a just a common sense practice to use. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that today, and I'll show you how I do my peas, how we can those. And so let's go on here and we'll talk a little bit. The first thing I want to show you here is some equipment that you need. You're going to need a good spoon to ladle out your vegetables or whatever you're doing. I use these about getting my jars out of my hot water. This is to use for getting the jars in and out after they're filled. And you have your little magnetic lid picker upper. I use this for debubbling the jars, and you need you a good set of measuring spoons. And the recipe I'm using today uses salt. So I've already got my salt in a little container poured out, so I can just dip it out and put it right in. But a great tool for you to have is the Ball Blue Book, a good canning book. This book right here is a 2008, I believe. And if you can find older books, they are much better. I would definitely recommend an older book. Excuse me one moment. I would definitely recommend the older books, say from the early 70s on back. They have a lot more recipes or a lot more procedures to do with things that these newer books leave out. And there's even the Kerr canning book. I don't think there's any of those that are actually in print today, because I believe Ball bought out Kerr, if I'm not mistaken. So, but the Kerr made some real good recipes. They go on back in probably the 70s and beyond, on through the 40s, 50s, 60s, I guess. I'm not sure, but I would love to have me a vintage Kerr canning book if I could find it. But this is the only one I have at the moment, and I'm going to be looking for some other books later on. But to say a little bit about that, you kind of see there, I was giving you an idea of what we have laid out there. And another item that you will need, if you don't have, is some containers. You need some large containers to store, to prep your vegetables in. This is Tupperware. It's a 32 cup bowl, which is good size for what I'm doing today. And but you need more than one. But I have other canners or containers. I have the enamelware dish pan that I definitely love, and I also have a enamelware preserving pot, which is basically like a canner, but it's shorter sides, and it's real good for blanching vegetables like green beans or whatever you're doing, corn, tomatoes, whatever you're working up. It's real good for blanching vegetables or preparing relishes, salsa, anything of that nature. So being prepared is, having the right equipment to use, and this will give you an idea of some things. Another thing that you need, we're going to go over here to the stove, is a good pressure cooker, or this is a pressure canner. And don't be intimidated by that. But they are dangerous, but you've got to follow the directions. If you follow the directions, you should not have anything to worry about. But this is actually an older model. I think I've said something about it before, but I'll reiterate it and say it again. This model here does not have the weighted regulator. This regulator is adjusted. Let me pull it off. It's not hot, but you have a little valve there that you open up to adjust your steam pressure. Now I keep it closed, and I'll take it off when I start my jars up and let it vent for about 10 minutes. And then I'll keep it closed and I'll watch my gauge and I'll adjust it with the burners. I try not to open that if I can, because it lets steam in the house and it'll heat your house up. So pressure cookers, follow the directions, follow the method that the Ball Blue Book gives you. You should not have any trouble. Pressure canning most of your vegetables like green beans, corn. If you do can corn, I don't like to can corn, but this year I'm running out of freezer space. I have froze some corn, but I much prefer it froze versus canned. But you've got corn, potatoes, sweet potatoes, pumpkins, squash. I could go on. Well, today we're doing field peas. That requires pressure canning. Go by your Ball Blue Book's recipe, what they tell you to do. A high acid food such as a tomato, peaches, preserves, relishes, pickles, jellies, jams, things of that nature, you can just do a hot water bath for the correct amount of time. And you're going to lose some fruit from vegetables, some canned goods. You'll lose that from time to time. You can do everything exactly right, make sure your jars are clean, and still lose some product. Don't ask me why. It's just one of those freak things that happen. I've done it. Okay, now what I'm going to do here, I'm doing the hot pack method on these peas, and they are starting to boil. So what I'm going to do, they're just a gentle boil, as you can see. I'm going to set my timer for 3 minutes. And once that time's up, we'll be ready to start jarring these up. Now I take my jars, and some people can put them in the oven and temper them. Basically you're wanting to sterilize and temper your jars, because we have hot liquid and we have, if you want hot jars, the canner's already hot. You do not want to take a cold jar, put it directly in, put something hot directly in it, or take a hot jar, put it in a cold canner. You're asking for trouble. Your jar will go into shock and it will break. Another thing, you want to take your jars and you want to inspect around the edge. Make sure there's no cracks, make sure there's no burrs or anything like that. You want to make sure it's smooth all the way around. That way you're guaranteed to get a good seal. So I've got a couple jars in this hot water right now getting hot, And once my peas are done, we're going to take those off. I'm going to slip that canner over here on the front, and we're going to get ready to start filling up some jars. So I'll catch you then. Okay. Some people add their salt at the beginning, and some people add it after they fill their jars. I just like to put mine in to start with. I just always have. Put one level teaspoon, one level teaspoon per quart. That's according to the Ball Blue Book. And if you use the pint jars, you want to do a half a teaspoon. So what I'll do is just ladle these in there, and you use the broth that's in with the beans, peas. You put that right in there with it. I like to put a little towel down or something. And I do need to check the 1 inch head space, so I'm really just about there. And I'm going to take my little spatula here, and we're going to put just a little more broth in here. Just about right there. Okay. We're going to debubble it. These jars are hot, folks, I'll tell you that. Some people say, well, why this is a lot of work, why don't you just buy it? Yes, it's a lot of work. But you know what? I know whose hands has been on it. I know what's in here. I know who growed it. And so I'll just soon stick with this. And another thing, I love doing it. And if you don't have a love affair for it, it's, you know, it's probably, you probably won't last long doing it, but I just love doing it, and I was raised around this. So. Okay, we're looking for about 1 inch of head space, and put just a few more. Always wipe your rims. I'll say something about these lids. I'm hearing this year that Ball says there's no need to put these lids in hot water. I'll be honest with you, I don't know where I stand on that. I thought that process was for sterilization. But anyway, I still do it. Maybe I'm not supposed to, but I'm going to keep doing it unless I have a problem. So far I've not had any issues with that. So I'm going to finish this up, and we'll get them loaded into the canner, and I'll get back with you. Okay, we ended up with 6 quarts, pretty much exact. And in case any of you are wondering, I picked them right at a bushel. So I got 6 quarts of peas, field peas. That's Purple Hull and Texas Big Boys. They're both really about the same size. So I picked roughly maybe just a tad over a bushel. So I ended up with 6 quarts of peas. So that'll give you kind of an idea about what your yield would be on that. Now, something I was going to say, when you're canning, always try to start out, have your kitchen clean, have everything out of the way, put up, and start out with a clean kitchen. And only have out what you're going to need while you're canning. And then once you get like I have now, I've got my cooker loaded, got everything in here. And so while you're letting this heat up, you've got, you can see here, I've got the big pot in the sink, and I've got all this stuff right here on the bar here. So what I'm going to do while I'm waiting on that, go ahead and clean my mess up, have everything put away, and I'll be waiting on my cooker. So anyway, we're going to let that cooker cook for, pressure cook at 10 pounds of pressure for 50 minutes. And then we'll let it cool down, and I'll unload it. And that'll be 6 quarts of peas that we've got put up so far. I've got some froze too. So just thought I'd share this video today to help somebody. Maybe somebody can glean a little bit of advice from this, and hopefully we can put up more in the future. So I wanted to do just a quick thing here before we close this video out. I hope you can hear well, but this is called exhausting the steam or air out of the cooker. We've not started the canning process yet, but you want to let it, and I was just looking at the Ball Blue Book, and this cooker right here, you want to let it do that for 10 minutes. I've got my timer set. I've got just a little over 2 minutes left, but you want to get a good flow of steam. I don't know how well that shows up, but I've got my exhaust fan on, so I hope it's not too much noise. But you want to be sure that you use that step in that. The small cooker that I can only do pints or half pints in says to do it for 5 minutes, but it cooks at a higher pressure, so that may be why. Another good book that you could have, if you could find it, would be the Presto Canning book. I'm not sure if some of the other manufacturers, I know the All-American Canner is still making canners, and Miramatic made pressure cookers, pressure canners too. So the Presto is what I know, is what I've used. So just putting that out there for you. So I'm going to get on with this. I'm about ready to put the weight on, and we're going to start this process. So I think I'll finish this video out right here, and I appreciate you watching. I appreciate our new subscribers too. I've noticed we've got on a few more, so I'm glad to see that. So anyway, y'all have a great day, and we'll talk to you later.